Hello, Joy. Joy to meet you. So we're here to talk about your film Dreamers. So for anyone who's not seen the film yet, what is Dreamers about?
Dreamers is a love story set in the most of unlikely places, a removal center. It's a story of hope, it's a story of joy, it's a story of friendship. I think ultimately it's a story about a woman who finds herself and finds her voice in a place that we don't expect her to.
So as well as directing the film, you've written it as well. So how much has this been taken from real life events?
This is like loosely based on my own experience. I claimed asylum under my sexuality when I was younger, and going through the system, I was like, oh, this is very dehumanizing. I remember like seeing other people and sort of like, hearing snippets of their conversation. And when I went through that journey on the other side, I just felt the need to tell a story that centered, selfishly myself, or at least somebody who looked like me. I wanted people to understand that immigration as you know it or what you think you know, you don't know. I think a lot of people don't really understand how the system works. And I wanted to find a way to tell the story um, in a way that I think could reach multiple audiences and a broad audience. And a love story felt right. And I think also because for me, my friends kept me going through that period, but also I had to learn what my voice sounded like as well. So I wanted to make a film that at the end, regardless of who you are, you feel something for the characters. And I think if you feel something for the characters, then hopefully it can compel you to ask questions and be inquisitive. And that's the sort of the aim.
There are a number of scenes in the film which kind of caught my eye, and the first one was, and I was quite intrigued by this, was the sort of bullying and intimidation in the detention centre yard, and it kind of had an air of sort of prison yard mentality about it. Was that your experience of it?
No, I wasn't detained, but I spoke to a lot of people who were, and I think, these centers are essentially prisons. I mean, they have the same, I guess you can look at it like from the same companies that run prisons also run removal centers, but also B, you're not allowed to leave. You can only stay in. And I think all that does is create grounds for people to act in prison-like mentalities. Also, the guards don't really treat you like individuals because people come and go so often. So I think you have to find a way to find your identity and to find your place. And, with those women in that scene, my thing about them was that they're only bullies because it allows them a way to feel like they have power in a place that you have no power. So for them doing the things they do, it's just more about them feeling like they have a say in their life choices, even though they have no say at all. So there's a lot of prison-esque things in most removal centers, I would say, because the guards are always watching you. They also have, things like suicide watch, where if somebody is suicidal, the guards just sit there and watch you. They come into your rooms without knocking doors. They just open the door all the time. So those things that you see in the film that the guards are doing is kind of what happens in reality, and those are things that also happen in prisons as well. So there's the similar system that they used to operate prisons. They used to operate removal centers because ultimately it's about incarceration.
Now, you've got two great lead actresses in this. How did you go about casting them?
So Ronke I'd known about for years. I saw her in a play, and she did a proof of concept with me for the film actually in 2019, I think it was. And so I kind of knew that she was going to be my lead. And I had worked with previously, but I wasn't sure if they were going to, work together. But I knew they both brought something in the characters that I really wanted. One of the things that I wanted from the characters was about how with what is Isio and Ronke was about, like how Ronke immerses herself in the world. I wanted somebody who could be expansive in how they relate to this character. And with Anne, I knew she was a bit more grounded as an actor, a bit more cerebral, and she could add more to Farah's groundedness in that sense. But what we managed to have was like rehearsal time. It was a very tight shoot. We only had 20 days, but luckily the producer gave me time to rehearse with these women. And we meant that we could figure out story. We had 2 weeks. We figured out a lot of story beats. We had an intimacy coordinator day. We had a movement coordinator day. I think all these things helped us to figure out how we can create chemistry on screen. So the rehearsal time is where we really got into it.
Now, you mentioned an intimacy coordinator. Love scenes are never easy for cast or crew to film. So, with the intimacy coordinator, how did that work? Did you hand it over to them to choreograph the scene,
Yeah.
or
So what we had done originally in rehearsal was that we sort of did a few exercises to first of all, get people comfortable with each other, for Anna and Ronke to figure out, the things they were happy with, not happy with in terms of how they wanted to interact. And actually, we then rehearsed a couple of options of what could work depending on camera work. And then on the day itself, we picked one, but I really let Elle Wood was my intimacy coordinator. So she originally spoke to both of them individually to figure out the things they were comfortable with, not comfortable with. And then based on that information, Elle gave me options as to like how it could look, how it could work. And then me, DOP, and Elle sort of sat there and figured out, okay, I wanted something poetic, I wanted something intimate, sensual, classy. And based on, the things that both actors were sort of like comfortable doing, we found that common ground. And so when they came in, we said, here's what we're gonna do. Are you guys happy? We played with things a bit, and then we found the place that we were happy with. But I think that was quite collaborative between all of us as to how we're going to approach it. But ultimately, for me, it was about as long as the actors felt safe and comfortable, and I think that just meant that they were always going to give you more because of that. So I think we managed to achieve that with the film.
so then finally, with this now under your belt, going forward, will you be staying in this kind of sort of realism, or will you be moving on to a completely new genre?
Yeah, I think next I want to do something a bit more poetic in terms of like love, just a love story. Because there's a book I want to adapt called Ordinary People by Diana Evans. It's like an unromantic romance. I also want to do like a rom-com as well. I mean, I love love, which is cheesy as it sounds, but I really want to do different kinds of love and maybe something happier next time. Something a bit more joyful would be nice.